ABC News contributor and host of the Law and Crime Network, Brian Buckmire. Thank you so much for joining us, Brian. You were actually inside the courtroom today. Describe for us what you saw and heard and felt that may not have been captured on that video feed that many of us watched all day.
Thanks for having me, Lindsay. Well, let me preface it this way. I'm a public defender. I have homicide cases that I carry. I have serious felonies. But even in that room, from a feeling standpoint, I sat feet away from Rodney Floyd, the youngest brother of George Floyd, a feet away in another direction of AG Keith Ellison, and I saw that witness talk and break down as he spoke about the case and his mother dying recently. The room is thick with emotion. You can feel it. When they testify, when you watch the video, you can't help but feel the emotion from the person who's testifying and their regret, their anger, their fear. You can feel everything. From what you're seeing, jurors are attentive. They are focused on everything. They're taking notes. Their ears are peaking up at the right time. They are definitely doing their job that they've been asked and tasked to do. And we're not able to see the jury. You were. Any emotion from them? So it's hard to tell with emotion, I think, for all of us right now in the pandemic, because you have a mask on for the whole thing. So I'm trying to pick up on crossed arms, hands being folded, leaning, or body language, or when they move to the edge of their seat to hear more, they move back and slouch back. That's the best I can do because of the masks going on right now and the COVID restrictions. But from what I'm seeing, it looks like they're listening. It looks like they're paying attention. There's about 2 or 3 jurors, actually, that interesting enough, that aren't watching the video when it gets very intense. You can see they kind of turn away and look directly ahead. I think they're going to probably rely on the other jurors who are watching. And some people, I've been calling some of them star pupils. This looks like they're studying for the LSAT. And in some cases, that video just too hard for them to watch. We also heard, of course, more emotional testimony from bystanders today. They're clearly still haunted from what they saw, some even crying on the witness stand. Does it seem like the prosecution is trying to highlight how George Floyd's death impacted the community at large? And how do you think that plays with the jury? I think that the prosecution is being smart, because what I'm looking at is not only the emotional aspect, but also the logical aspect of it. I know yesterday we had 4 teenagers testify, and a lot of people were saying, why would you put these children, because that's what they are, children, to testify about something that adults are going to be able to testify to? Well, in terms of the statute for aggravated departure, that means the ability to sentence someone to higher than the maximum of a charge, because we're all talking about 40 years for murder in the second degree. One of the 4 aggravating circumstances that the prosecution can use if Derek Chauvin is found guilty is committing the crime in front of the children. And if you do that, you can actually ask a judge to give a person more than 40 years. The other thing that you can ask for more years is if you commit the crime with a group of 3 or more who are actively participating in that crime. 3 officers on George Floyd's back kind of does that. If the act is particularly cruel, leaving a knee on someone's neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds sounds pretty cruel. And if the victim is particularly vulnerable because of some sort of physical impairment, being handcuffed while that's all is happening, I think matches that description. So it's emotional, yes, but I think they're also attacking the statute to try to see if they can tack on more years if he's convicted. And we're almost out of time, but do want to ask you, the prosecution chose to play that video of George Floyd in cup foods before his arrest. He seems to be under the influence, and even the prosecution's own witness, Chris Martin, said as much today, that he seemed to be high. If you're the prosecution, why would you include that? 2 reasons. I'm trying to take the sting away from the defense attorney who's going to bring that up, and that's going to be the bread and butter of their argument. But also, I think we're going to see officers testify later on in this trial and say, I handle sober suspects one way, but when I think that someone has a mental health issue, they're intoxicated on alcohol or drugs or other substances, or they just can't perceive reality in the same way that we all do, I need to handle them with extra care. And it's that extra care that Derek Chauvin didn't provide George Floyd that I think they're really going to try to nail him to come summation. Brian Buckmire, appreciate your insight. Thanks so much for your time tonight. My pleasure. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.